My name is Tara McGitz, and this is one of a continuing series of different topics within the law areas of the law where we primarily practice, which is personal injury. From time to time we will touch on different areas, but we do primarily try to focus these videos on matters of interest to individuals who have been injured. So today we're going to be talking about nursing home abuse and neglect, since it seems to be an area where we're seeing a lot more instances of litigation and awareness of abuse and neglect. A majority of the population, or at least an increasing number of the population, is aging into a need for nursing home or assisted living care, or is intended or anticipated that they will need that type of care within a relatively short period of time. And so in that particular area, what we are starting to see with more frequency is allegations of abuse and or neglect of a person's loved ones, which results in injury, significant injury, and even death. And so today we want to talk to you about some tips to follow if you suspect abuse or neglect of a loved one who is in a nursing home or an assisted living facility. And really, when you think about it, it's something that can be difficult to see, difficult to specifically attribute to one particular cause, and difficult to really understand, because for most people who are in a nursing home or an assisted living facility, they are in that facility because for the most part they can no longer live independently, and some of the reasons that they can no longer live independently is because they have lost their cognitive ability, so that they can't make decisions for themselves, which may also in turn make it very difficult for them to articulate in a way that is understandable that something is going on with them that really should be addressed. And so sometimes that is going to come from a staff member or the facility itself in terms of abuse and or neglect, and that can come about from or can be seen in terms of when you go to the facility, has your loved one starting to complain of, or are you noticing pressure sores? Are they expressing complaints of injury that the facility is not addressing? And is that something that you need to talk to the facility about? And really, in terms of being able to do that and really have the ability to point something specific out to the facility, it is going to require that you visit the facility. Now, you may already be doing that, but you may be doing it on a schedule because that schedule is convenient for you, and that may need to change in order to actually see something different. So if you do suspect that there is abuse or neglect going on, you should probably try and mix up your schedule a little bit of going to the facility, so that you're not going on the same date of the week, or you're not going at the same time on that day, so that you see your loved one in the facility at different times of the day and with different caregivers. So if you normally go in the morning, well, maybe go at nighttime. Or if you're normally there for lunch, maybe you go in the morning and you're there for wake up, or you're there for breakfast. Or if you go, multiple times during the week, it's probably a little bit easier to switch that up than if you live a little bit far away from the facility, so that you really can't get over there with any frequency. But that is one thing that we would definitely suggest, is to visiting the nursing home or facility. And it's something that you really should do prior to placing your loved one in the facility, so that you have an understanding of what you're getting into with the particular facility, and then also after your loved one is within the facility, so that you can see how they are treating your loved one. And if you do have any concerns, or if your family member has been able to express some concerns to you about how they are being treated, you do want to express that to the facility. Now, that may be to the nurse director, that may be to the director of the nursing home, or a supervisor of some kind. And you want to make sure that when you are speaking to any member or of the facility, that you are trying to talk to them in a calm manner. You do not want to, or your loved one is not going to be best served in having the complaints resolved or the issues addressed if you are screaming, if you are vulgar, if you are making very, very wild accusations. If you're going to make a specific accusation, you may want to have something that supports your allegation, so that the facility cannot deny that what you are bringing to their attention has actually occurred and should not be occurring. Pressure sores are one pretty big example of that, in terms of a lack of appropriate treatment, because you're only going to really see a pressure sore when the person is not moving around, because of the pressure that is exerted upon the body and the specific areas of the body where they are laying or sitting. And then if you do not feel as though your concerns are being addressed, there is an ombudsman that should be available to discuss what your concerns are and how the facility has failed to address your concerns. And then obviously, if you believe that there is immediate harm that may occur, you have the ability, and you should definitely either contact the police or an ambulance for care to be given to your family member. The National Center on Elder Abuse is a good website to check out to see different resources. And then obviously, if at the end of the day still nothing is being addressed, legal help can be requested through the assistance of an attorney. Now, we've talked a lot about the facility and abuse and neglect by staff and the facility, but one area that a lot of people wouldn't necessarily think of in terms of abuse and neglect actually comes from other residents. You would be surprised, I think, to learn that approximately 20% of incidences in nursing homes actually result from resident-on-resident conflict. We had a previous case in this office where we had such a resident-on-resident conflict, and we alleged in litigation that the facility had a duty and obligation to make sure that the family was aware of the conflict, that the facility had a duty and an obligation to take steps to address the conflict, which we alleged they failed to do, and to make sure that the appropriate treatment is being given to the residents, which we alleged was not, and also that the residents were in the appropriate area within the facility. Some facilities are going to have an Alzheimer's unit or a dementia unit, and a non-Alzheimer's or non-dementia unit. And so if you have someone who is exhibiting signs and has been diagnosed with dementia and Alzheimer's and is increasingly acting out, a conversation really should be had, especially if the behavior acting out is towards another resident, is whether or not the location is appropriate, or whether or not they require additional care and should be moved to a different area or unit within the facility itself. The failure to take those steps and to act out in terms of the duty and obligation towards all residents can unfortunately lead to, and does lead to, significant injuries, and can also unfortunately lead to the death of a resident. And so this is something that a nursing home or assisted living facility, having taken on the obligation to care for the resident, has an obligation to make sure that they are keeping that resident safe. If you have a concern that the facility where your loved one is in is not taking those appropriate steps to deal either with the institutional abuse or neglect which you believe is occurring, or resident on resident abuse or neglect that you believe is occurring, and you've gone through the various steps and you've not had any success, I would strongly suggest that reaching out to an attorney at this time is appropriate. Now, we are a New Jersey law firm, so if you are in New Jersey, we welcome your call. We can be reached at the contact information that is found on the end of this video or somewhere on this video. And again, my name is Tara Magitz. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask for me. We will be back with another video, and hopefully you have enjoyed this one. If you have any questions or concerns, comments or criticisms, please post them in the comments below and we will do our best to respond to them. Thank you.